Danji has kind of been with me on Facebook for a long, long time, and I've been following his posts and probably vice versa. But Danji is an ad man who has a heart and has a mind. And he's been doing the right things in advertising when most people are doing the wrong things in advertising. And Danji is going to speak about, are we able to make it all add up? Danji is also the CEO of Everest Advertising. So I invite Danji Wadia to please come up on stage and speak to us about, are we able to make it all add up? A-D into brackets, D up. So there's a punny message over there. Punny idea for action.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah. It's amazing that the front benches are missing and all the back benches are all in place here. But nevertheless, when I was first asked to come in here and speak, I thought that, are you talking to the right person? Am I the right man to be talking to this forum? I have been an advertising man all my life, and there are always advertising jokes, and two of the best I've heard in recent times. I thought I'd share with you. One is there's a man who needs a heart transplant. And they come back and they tell him that you have a choice of a 16-year-old athlete or a 65-year-old advertising man. Which one will you want? He says, I'll take the 65-year-old advertising man. So he said, why do you want, that person's heart? And he says, because I need a heart that has never been used before. Yeah? So that's one way of looking at advertising. What is the other one? There's this boat that is going in shark-infested waters, and there are people on that boat, and by happenstance, there's an advertising man also on that boat, who for some reason, by a coincidence, falls into the water, and everybody is in a state of shock, because, he's there, and there's one shark approaching, and there's this Jaws-like music, ja, 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 ja. And the shark is approaching, very ferocious. Man is in the water, not advertising man is there, really looking at the shark, saying, don't know what to do. And these people are looking up, from the boat. They're really shell-shocked, not knowing what to do. The shark is approaching, closer, closer, closer to the man it comes. And then, the shark gives one ferocious look to the advertising chap. He's there, he doesn't know what to do, he's just, waiting. And the shark then suddenly just goes away, and quiet, twilight music, lovely, sun starts shining, and the people are really, happy. And there's a woman in the boat who says that, did you see that? Did you see that? It's a miracle, it's a miracle. And there's a man next to her who says, lady, it's not a miracle, it's called professional courtesy. So, really, what is, So I was looking at, can advertising really bring about a change in society? Yeah. So what is the area of social impact that can be made through advertising? And I've lived my entire life in advertising, and I worked with some of the biggest corporates, biggest marketing companies in India. And I am seeking, I have been seeking to work with teams, and see how we can look at effective programs in the marketplace. Now, when I talk of social impact, there are many. If I take, for instance, health awareness, whether it's AIDS or tuberculosis, or even, say, pulse polio. I mean, look at it, that the campaign for pulse polio has been working relentlessly to such an effect that, we've been able to eradicate that away. So India is a polio-free country today, and there is a role that Do Boon Zindagi Ke has actually helped, create that. Now, of course, I didn't work on that, and I thought I'd share with you some of the, programs that I have been associated with. We worked with the Times of India group for the Lead India program. So this really started with India's 60th year of independence, and he said that, is there a way of looking at a new set of people who can look at governance for India? And we did a nationwide search, and it was a big program, ran over almost half a year. And the final person that got chosen for that was Mr. R.K. Misra, who was awarded, this award was given by a person no lesser than Professor Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And R.K. Misra, actually, he is an IIT graduate. He was then among 25 top people across 18 countries selected for an engineering program in Japan. He did a startup, and he had a very profitable company, which he decided to give up and then work for a political change in the country. He continues to work till today and pretty successfully. So that was one. The other program that we worked on was Teach India. Now, we were not the first people to really come on that program. There are many people, and then there have been nice jingles that have been played in advertising, and it all talks about, chalo padhaye, kuch kar dikhaye. And it is very rabble-rousing because, when you see something like that, obviously you feel good, that should be done. Something should be done. But somehow, all the previous programs met with modest success. And we are trying to figure out what happened. What is it? You ask somebody that, is it a good thing to teach? You say, yes. But then when you look at, the performance, you find that, somehow not many people volunteering to come out. So what is it? Was it, apathy? Was it that people don't really care? We went deep, into this to try and make a diagnostics of why. And we found out that people were really having performance anxiety. You didn't know what to do. So Teach India is the single largest education program in the world. We actually, came from we learned that we have the largest unlettered population in the world. And simultaneously, we also have the largest number of, experts. If you take if you take professionals like engineers, doctors, we export them. We have so many people. So is there a way of managing that chasm so the people who can, share the knowledge to people who require it? And the program was very simple. We said, we try and get, first of all, the location. So we worked with schools who would give the premises for this program. We worked with NGOs who would provide the people required for these, to come in, the students. And then we said that 2 hours a week, 2 hours that you would spend at a mall, 2 hours in a restaurant, at a cafeteria, or say at a theater. You just need to give 2 hours a day, 2 hours a week, and that would be your contribution to Teach India. And we, in the process, made it the single largest education program in the world. Currently, I work with Tata Housing, and there's this project that we are working on, which is Beautiful is Green. This is called Project Big. And again, we are looking at how do we look at the ecological way of, Ganesh is a big festival in India, at least in the western part, it is really very, very big. And the aftermath of the Ganesh festival is that, you go and just dump this into the sea. So is there a responsible way, ecologically, a responsible way of managing that? And towards that recently is this, we've been working with CN and IBN on the Citizen Journalist program. And citizen journalist is beautiful because, if you have a phone, you have a camera, then you are a journalist. And we thought that, it's an English channel, it'll have very few, people, the appeal would be just to the larger cities, etc. We find that people from smallest villages, actually coming in because they felt that it empowered them. There's a way of, actually working on this. So really, if I were to summarize this, we're saying that, are we able to make it all add up? I feel in the balance, some things work, some things don't. As long as more things work than don't work, we should not really worry, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dunji. And like I was discussing with you when we first spoke over the phone, happy to say that the small idea of right every wrong to involve people in the process of change inspired Lead India and Teach India and the citizen journalism program of CN and IBN. We have this on record from Richard Saldana and from Puran Pandey, who was the CEO of Times Foundation. And the whole idea of using a child as a catalyst in the ad, if you remember the Lead India ad, there was a child which was used that came from the child ambassadors that iCongo promoted. So that's the power of a small idea which makes the big difference. And I think it did really all add up because the kind of muscle that Times of India has is not the muscle that we have. But we can only seed that idea. And Times of India took it. And R.K. Mishra is also one of our Karmavir Puraskar award recipients. So that said, I'll open the floor to questions.
How do you think an advertising professional can proactively help in in things like capacity building workshops, or in devising communications campaign for for a lot of NGOs who are working in different sectors?
Whenever there has been a request, we work for it, and we do not charge for it. So yeah, so if there are some costs involved, like if you're going to make something, if there's a cost involved, then you pay the concessionaire. But the agency does not charge for the time or the thinking or the effort that goes into making the stuff. In terms of teaching also, like, there are many, I mean, not only me, there are many like me who actually use our, expertise to go and share our experiences with whether business schools, whether other colleges. And there too, again, it's done in a...
Correct, because I know for a fact that this happens, and so that's why I wanted to relay that message to everyone sitting here, that, NGOs or people working in the social development space can benefit from
Most
from
certainly.
people like you.
In fact,
With your communication strategies.
I mean, I can talk about myself, but I'm sure that even the entire industry would be
Correct.
available. Yeah,
Correct.
if there's something which is a worthy reason to take forward, I'm sure the entire community would be there to support.
You might wish that nobody here was going to be asking this. You might
can't
wish,
hear
might have wished
clearly.
that nobody here was going to be asking this one. It's always said that if we're to do anything in the world, we have to get our own house in order. In most countries, advertising is quite strictly regulated, but the regulations really here, where they exist at all, are pretty toothless. And as a result, there's a great deal that is done in this country which would not be considered acceptable elsewhere. For example, when it comes to advertising that exploits children, that abuses the vulnerability of children, one might ask the question, would a company making fairness creams actually go on making them if every advertising industry refused to make ads for them to market those creams that make dark-skinned girls feel inferior, etc.? How, as an industry, are you going about bringing some morality and ethics and self-policing if nothing's going to happen on the regulatory front?
At the apex, at the top, it should be self-regulation. Yeah? So you need to decide what you want to do, how you want to go about conducting your business. Besides that, yes, I mean, there is an Advertising Standards Council, and which is getting into the issues. Maybe, because it's an advisory body, it is possible that maybe you need to regulate it even more. You need to give it some more power. So, for instance, the INB ministry has actually empowered them that if there is a complaint that the ASCII gives, then you cannot actually put your ad on television or in media. And if you were to, I mean, you may not want to, you can still continue to do what you want to do, but the media houses will be behind bars. So that actually, so there are steps, so you can say that maybe the progress is at a slower pace than necessary, but it is in the right direction, and hopefully we'll get there.
May we have Hunar Brar to give away the certificate to Danji, please?